voice, fool your friends, fun and party.
Not bad.
Hello, everyone. Today we're counting down our picks for the little-known facts about Tim Burton's beloved horror comedy. Which Beetlejuice fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments.
Hide the deadly black tarantula.
Number 20. Beetlejuice was almost called Scared Sheetless. It's hard to imagine a classic movie like Beetlejuice with a different name, but that was almost the case. In fact, when the film was still in development, Warner Bros. Executives were concerned that the title Beetlejuice wouldn't connect with mainstream audiences. Tim Burton, in a sarcastic mood, jokingly suggested the title Scared Sheetless, a pun on ghostly bedsheets and the phrase scared shitless. To his surprise and horror, the executives actually considered using this name, thinking it would make the film more marketable.
We come for your daughter, Chuck.
Luckily for everyone involved, they eventually decided to stick with the original name. The title Beetlejuice became just as iconic as the character himself, perfectly capturing the film's mix of supernatural quirkiness and irreverent humor.
Guaranteed to put some life
Attention, keyword shoppers.
in your afterlife.
Number 19. Michael Keaton's limited screen time.
Joining us, Beetlejuice is in theaters and IMAX September 6th.
Even though Michael Keaton's performance as the eccentric bio-exorcist Beetlejuice is one of the highlights of the movie, you might be surprised to learn that he's only in the film for a total of 17 minutes. Considering the lasting cultural impact of the character, this is a shockingly short amount of time.
Connection.
And I'll tell you something, she definitely saw me that last time. I felt a little tingle.
Keaton's brief yet explosive performance turned those few minutes into something legendary. In those 17 minutes, he manages to dominate the movie, leaving audiences with the impression that he's in the entire film. His energy, improvisation, and larger-than-life personality ensure that every second he's on screen is unforgettable. Keaton has spoken in interviews about how Tim Burton gave him a lot of creative freedom, allowing him to come up with much of Beetlejuice's dialogue and antics on the spot. It's a testament to Keaton's talent that he made such a lasting impression in so little time.
You sure you're okay?
Yep.
Because
Number 18. A much darker original script. Beetlejuice as we know it is a dark comedy with an eccentric tone, but the original script was far more sinister. Written by Michael McDowell, an early draft of the script was more of a straight horror film. In this version, Beetlejuice was envisioned as a grotesque, shape-shifting demon who took pleasure in terrorizing the Dietz family and even attempted to murder Lydia. The Maitland's death was also much more violent, involving a graphic car crash. The tone was heavy, and there was little of the humor that fans associate with the final version. Fortunately, when Tim Burton came on board, he and screenwriters Warren Scarron and Larry Wilson transformed the story into a black comedy. Burton's vision shifted the film toward the whimsical and surreal, balancing the morbid elements with the lighthearted. The changes helped the movie appeal to a wider audience while keeping its eerie charm intact. This darker original script shows just how much Beetlejuice evolved from concept to completion. Number 17. Winona Ryder almost didn't play Lydia.
Jumped, having vomited.
Winona Ryder's portrayal of Lydia Dietz, the gloomy teenager with a love for the macabre, has become one of her defining roles. However, the role almost went to someone else. Several well-known actresses from the 1980s were considered for the part, including Lori Loughlin and Jennifer Connelly, who had starred in Labyrinth just 2 years earlier.
Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
Director Tim Burton was looking for someone who could capture Lydia's melancholic yet quirky essence, and while other actresses were certainly talented, they didn't quite fit Burton's vision. When Winona Ryder auditioned, Burton saw that her unique blend of offbeat charm and vulnerability was exactly what the role required. Lydia's sarcastic, deadpan humor and her sense of isolation resonated with teenage audiences, especially those who felt like outsiders. Ryder's natural chemistry with the rest of the cast, particularly Catherine O'Hara and Jeffrey Jones as her eccentric parents, solidified her as the perfect choice. Without her, Lydia's role in the movie might not have had the same iconic impact on pop culture.
Utterly alone. By the time.
Number 16. The movie's budget was shockingly low. Given the elaborate sets, makeup, and special effects that make Beetlejuice so visually distinctive, it's surprising to learn that the film was made on a modest budget of just $15 million. While that might sound like a lot of money, even for the 1980s, it was relatively low for a film of this scale, especially considering the special effects-heavy nature of the movie. Tim Burton had to be incredibly resourceful to create the film's iconic visuals. One of the most notable budget-saving decisions was to rely on practical effects, including stop-motion animation and puppetry rather than expensive CGI. Burton's love for old-school effects shines through in scenes like the sandworm attack and the surreal, bureaucratic afterlife office. These practical effects give the movie its handmade, quirky charm and set it apart from more polished, effects-driven films of the time. The combination of budget constraints and creative filmmaking helped Beetlejuice achieve its unique aesthetic.
Come on. Beetlejuice.
Number 15. Beetlejuice's look was created in just 2 weeks.
Babs.
When Michael Keaton agreed to play the character, Tim Burton gave him a lot of freedom in developing Beetlejuice's look and personality. Keaton quickly immersed himself in the role, working with the film's makeup and costume departments to create the character's distinctive appearance. In just 2 weeks, they came up with Beetlejuice's chaotic, decaying look, complete with wild green hair, pale skin, and moldy patches. Keaton also came up with the idea of having Beetlejuice's teeth look rotten and uneven, which added to the character's unsettling yet comical appearance. In interviews, Keaton has described Beetlejuice as a combination of various influences, including rock stars, carnival barkers, and vaudeville performers.
Ow! Oh, hey, come on! You gotta work with me here. I'm just trying to cut a deal. What do you want me to do? Where are you?
He saw the character as someone who exists in his own twisted reality, constantly breaking the fourth wall and playing by his own rules. The result was a performance that balanced humor with a sense of unpredictability, making Beetlejuice both frightening and hilarious. Keaton's creativity in shaping the character's look and personality was key to bringing Burton's vision to life.
Well, time I see it! Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy! Now what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Number 14. Beetlejuice was originally supposed to be more grotesque.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe. You know, you look like somebody.
Tim Burton's original concept for the character of Beetlejuice was far darker and more grotesque than the version we see in the film. Early sketches and designs for the character showed him as a demonic figure with reptilian skin, sharp teeth, and bat-like wings. This version of Beetlejuice was meant to be more of a horror villain than a comedic trickster. He was designed to be genuinely terrifying, reflecting the film's initial, darker tone.
That's the Lost Souls room. A room for ghosts that have been exorcised.
As the script evolved and the film's tone shifted towards comedy, Burton decided to soften Beetlejuice's appearance, making him more playful and mischievous. Instead of a grotesque monster, Beetlejuice became a chaotic, almost clown-like figure who still had a spooky edge but was more of an anti-hero than a villain.
Come on, let's go. Get on the ceremony.
Do you, Beetle? Nobody says the B.
This change helped the character become more accessible to audiences, especially given the film's PG rating, and allowed Michael Keaton to inject more humor and charisma into the role. Number 13. The Maitland's death. Was different in the original script. In the final version of Beetlejuice, the Maitlands, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, die in a car accident after their vehicle swerves off a bridge and into a river. However, in the original draft of the script, their death was much darker. The Maitlands were originally supposed to die in a house fire, which would have set a more somber tone for the film. The change to a car accident made their death less traumatic and aligned with the film's lighter, more whimsical approach to the afterlife. The decision to alter the Maitlands' death also allowed for more visual creativity. The underwater scenes, where the Maitlands' ghostly forms are discovered floating in their car, provided a haunting yet beautiful image that fit with Burton's signature visual style. The car accident was a less gruesome way to handle their demise, while still serving as a pivotal moment in the story.
Oh, it's about time.
Number 12. Tim Burton's banana boat scene was almost cut.
Work all night and a drink of rum.
One of the most memorable and beloved scenes in Beetlejuice is the dinner party possession, where the Dietz family and their guests are compelled to dance to Harry Belafonte's Day-O, the banana boat song. This scene perfectly encapsulates the film's mix of spooky and comedic elements, and it remains one of the most iconic moments in movie history. However, the studio wasn't initially sold on the idea. Warner Brothers executives thought the scene was too silly and out of place in a movie that was supposed to be more of a horror comedy. They feared it would disrupt the tone and wanted Burton to cut it. But Burton believed in the scene's potential to showcase the film's playful side and stood his ground. His instinct was spot on. The scene became a fan favorite and solidified Beetlejuice as a film that blends the absurd with the macabre.
A beautiful bunch, a ripe banana.
Number 11. There's a reference to The Exorcist.
During that, I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it.
Throughout Beetlejuice, there are several clever nods to pop culture, one of which is the character's famous line, "I've seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it." This line is both a humorous reflection of Beetlejuice's twisted sense of humor and a subtle homage to one of the greatest horror films of all time. The Exorcist was a huge cultural phenomenon in the 1970s, known for its terrifying depiction of a young girl possessed by a demon. By referencing this movie, Beetlejuice not only pays tribute to its horror roots, but also establishes itself as part of a larger conversation about the supernatural in cinema.
Sure, go ahead, shoot.
Well, for instance, what are your qualifications?
The fact that Beetlejuice finds the film funny rather than scary adds to his character's dark, irreverent personality, making the line all the more memorable. Number 10. Beetlejuice's name has multiple spellings.
You want a cigarette?
Oh, no, thank you.
I'm trying to cut down myself.
One of the quirky aspects of Beetlejuice is the different ways the character's name is spelled throughout the film and its promotional material. In the title of the movie and most of the marketing, it's spelled as Beetlejuice, which plays into the quirky and comical tone of the film. However, in the movie itself, his name is spelled Beetlejuice, referencing the bright red star in the Orion constellation. The choice to name the character after a star adds an element of mystery and intrigue, linking Beetlejuice to the cosmic and the supernatural. While fans continue to debate which spelling is correct, both versions have become synonymous with the character's mischievous and larger-than-life persona. The dual spelling only adds to the film's oddball charm and reflects Tim Burton's signature blend of the bizarre and the whimsical.
Sure, yeah. Go ahead.
And you, do you, Lydia, take this man to be...
Number 9. Alec Baldwin hated his performance. Though Alec Baldwin's performance as Adam Maitland is now beloved, the actor himself wasn't pleased with how he came across in the film. Baldwin has said in interviews that he didn't fully understand the script or the tone of the movie while they were shooting it. He even went as far as saying that he felt his performance was stiff, and one of his worst in his career.
Look, there are no mirrors on this side.
Fine, look fine.
Yeah?
Fine.
Thanks, I've been feeling a little flat.
Despite Baldwin's self-criticism, his portrayal of Adam as a sweet, well-meaning but slightly clueless ghost became one of the movie's most endearing aspects. His chemistry with Geena Davis, who played his wife Barbara, added a warmth to the movie that balanced the more chaotic energy of Beetlejuice. Baldwin's humility about his role shows that even the actors involved couldn't have predicted the massive cultural impact the film would eventually have. Number 8. The Handbook for the Recently Deceased was a prop masterpiece.
Handbook for the Recently Deceased.
The Handbook for the Recently Deceased is an iconic prop that plays a significant role in the film's plot, guiding the Maitlands through their new life as ghosts. The book's dry, bureaucratic tone and outdated design were a stroke of genius by the film's prop department. Its appearance, worn and unassuming, feels like a relic from a mundane, bureaucratic afterlife, which adds to the absurdity of the film's take on the world beyond death.
Instructions. Listen to this. Geographical and temporal perimeters. Functional perimeters vary from manifestation to manifestation.
Tim Burton was heavily involved in the creation of the handbook. He wanted it to look like something you'd find in a dull government office, despite it being a guide for the deceased. The deadpan humor of the title alone hints at the surreal comedy throughout the film. The book became such an iconic part of Beetlejuice's legacy that it's since been replicated as a collectible item for fans. Number 7. The stop-motion snake was almost cut. One of the more frightening moments in Beetlejuice occurs when Beetlejuice transforms into a snake, terrorizing the Dietz family as they explore the attic. The snake, brought to life through stop-motion animation, stands out as one of the most visually arresting scenes in the film. However, the snake almost didn't make it into the final cut due to budget concerns. The stop-motion effects in Beetlejuice were labor-intensive and costly. At one point, the studio suggested cutting the scene to save money. Fortunately, Tim Burton fought to keep it in the movie, recognizing its importance in balancing the film's comedic and frightening elements. The snake scene is one of the best examples of how Burton uses practical effects to bring his darkly imaginative world to life. Number 6. Tim Burton wanted Sammy Davis Jr. as Beetlejuice.
The reaction when I said that I wanted Sammy Davis Jr. to play Beetlejuice.
Before Michael Keaton was cast as the unforgettable Beetlejuice, Tim Burton had another unconventional choice in mind: legendary entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. Burton was a fan of Davis and thought his charisma and energy would make for an interesting take on the character. However, the studio executives weren't convinced that Davis was the right fit for the role and ultimately pushed for someone else. Michael Keaton, who was known primarily for his comedic roles at the time, was eventually cast, and he transformed Beetlejuice into a chaotic, eccentric, and iconic figure. While it's fascinating to imagine what Sammy Davis Jr. might have brought to the role, Keaton's wild, unpredictable performance became the defining aspect of the character and the movie. Number 5. Winona Ryder's goth look was inspired by punk culture.
Well, I read through that handbook for the recently deceased. It says, live people ignore the...
Lydia Dietz's iconic goth look was one of the film's standout features, thanks to the collaboration between costume designer Aggie Garrard-Rogers and makeup artist V. Neal. Her heavy black eyeliner, pale complexion, and dark, tattered clothing were inspired by 1980s punk culture, which was known for its rebellious and anti-mainstream aesthetic.
Mr. and Mrs. Maitland?
Lydia's gothic appearance wasn't just a fashion statement, it was a key part of her character. Her style reflects her sense of alienation from the world and her fascination with the macabre. In fact, her line, "I myself am strange and unusual," became an anthem for fans who related to her outsider status. Lydia's look helped define a new type of weird girl archetype in cinema, influencing goth and alternative subcultures for years to come. Number 4. the movie almost had a sequel set in Hawaii.
Adam?
This way, honey.
Following the success of Beetlejuice, Tim Burton and Warner Brothers briefly considered a sequel titled Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. The bizarre plot would have involved the Dietz family moving to Hawaii, only to discover that their new beachfront property was built on ancient burial grounds. Beetlejuice would have followed them, blending Hawaiian culture with the movie's trademark supernatural hijinks. While Burton and Keaton were initially interested, the project never got off the ground. The idea of Beetlejuice in Hawaii was certainly unique, but it's possible that the outlandish premise wouldn't have captured the same magic as the original. Over the years, rumors of a Beetlejuice sequel have surfaced multiple times, but as of now, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian remains one of the stranger what-ifs in movie history. Number 3. Catherine O'Hara and Tim Burton fell in love with stop-motion animation. While Beetlejuice didn't feature as much stop-motion animation as Burton's later films, the process played a crucial role in creating the film's signature visuals, particularly with creatures like the sandworms and Beetlejuice's snake transformation. The success of these stop-motion effects had a lasting impact on both Tim Burton and Catherine O'Hara, who played Delia Dietz. Burton would go on to direct stop-motion classics like The Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride, solidifying his status as a master of the medium. Meanwhile, Catherine O'Hara would voice key characters like Sally and Shock in The Nightmare Before Christmas, becoming a frequent collaborator with Burton in his animated projects. Their shared love for the quirky, handcrafted charm of stop motion helped shape the trajectory of their careers. Number 2, Geena Davis was the first actor cast. Before Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, or Alec Baldwin were brought on board, Geena Davis was the first actor to sign on to Beetlejuice. At the time, Davis was riding high on the success of The Fly, and Burton was eager to work with her. Her enthusiasm for the role of Barbara Maitland was crucial in securing the film's momentum in the early stages of production. Davis's portrayal of Barbara brought a warmth and sweetness to the character that contrasted with the chaos surrounding her. Her performance, alongside Alec Baldwin's Adam, provided the emotional heart of the film, giving audiences characters to root for amid the wackiness of the afterlife. Number 1. The Afterlife Waiting Room was inspired by real-life bureaucracy. One of the funniest and most memorable scenes in Beetlejuice is the waiting room in the afterlife, where deceased souls wait for their appointments with the caseworker Juno. The exaggerated, bureaucratic setting, complete with endless paperwork and outdated decor, was inspired by Tim Burton's experiences with government offices. The scene plays with the idea that even in death, there's no escape from mundane, bureaucratic red tape. This concept of an inefficient and bureaucratic afterlife is one of the film's most clever satirical elements. It contrasts the fantastical idea of the afterlife with the all-too-familiar frustrations of waiting in line and filling out forms. The waiting room also features some of the film's most creative visual gags, such as the flattened man who was run over by a car and the magician's assistant sawed in half. If you enjoyed these facts, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating deep dives into your favorite movies. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. While there are a few scenes where Johansson appears fully nude, it's important to note that her character is an alien. This makes the nudity feel far removed from typical human representations. Under the Skin remains the only movie where Johansson does a fully nude scene, and it is not sexual in nature. What truly makes the film remarkable, though, is Johansson's captivating performance. She brings a unique depth to her otherworldly character, making the story haunting and unforgettable. 28. Jennifer Lawrence, No Hard Feelings. Jennifer Lawrence stepped out of her comfort zone with a surprising, full nude scene in a sex comedy, a genre quite different from her usual films. In the movie, she plays Maddie, a 32-year-old who is hired to help 19-year-old Percy Baker, played by Andrew Barth Feldman, get ready for college life. Her role is to boost his confidence and teach him how to connect with girls. One of the most talked about moments happens when Maddie and Percy are skinny dipping in the ocean, only to have some mischievous kids steal their clothes. In a completely unexpected and hilarious turn, Maddie, fully nude, chases after the kids, fights them off, and gets their clothes back. Lawrence reportedly found the scene as funny to film as it is to watch, embracing the comedy and the chaos of the moment. 27. Margot Robbie, The Wolf of Wall Street. Margot Robbie delivered a standout performance in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street, starring alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. In true Scorsese fashion, the film is unapologetically bold, pushing boundaries in both story and visuals. One of the most unforgettable moments comes when Robbie's character Naomi appears completely naked in a scene just before an intimate encounter with DiCaprio's Jordan Belfort. The moment is provocative, yet integral to showcasing Naomi's power and control in their relationship, a testament to Robbie's fearless and commanding performance. 26. Kate Winslet, Jude and the Reader. Kate Winslet has become known for her bold approach to acting, often embracing vulnerability in her roles. Interestingly, out of the 6 Academy Award-nominated performances in her career, she has appeared nude in 4 of them. Her iconic drawing room scene in Titanic is unforgettable, forever etched in cinematic history. However, fewer people might realize that Winslet fully bared herself for her role in Jude, 1994, portraying a deeply emotional moment where her character loses her virginity. Another powerful performance came in The Reader, where she delivered a raw and deeply human portrayal, including several fully nude scenes that underscored the intimacy and complexity of her character. These choices reflect her fearless commitment to bringing authenticity to her work. 25. Emma Stone, Poor Things. Poor Things, based on Alistair Gray's 1992 novel, Poor Things, episodes from the early life of Archibald McCandless MD, Scottish public health officer, is set in a steampunk-inspired version of the 1880s. The story follows Bella Baxter, played by Emma Stone, as she embarks on a journey of self-discovery in a world as strange as her own origins. Bella's tale begins when a scientist rescues her nearly lifeless body after a suicide attempt. In an unexpected twist, he saves her by replacing her brain with that of her unborn fetus. This transformation results in a woman experiencing the world with the innocence and curiosity of a child, yet in the body of an adult. Under the direction of Yorgos Lanthimos, the film dives deeply into Bella's awakening, both intellectually and physically. Stone delivers a fearless performance as Bella explores her body and discovers the pleasures it brings. The film, visually stunning and thought-provoking, features multiple nude scenes that highlight Bella's unique journey and her unconventional view of life. 24. Monica Bellucci, Irreversible and Milena. Monica Bellucci has long been celebrated for her captivating performances and undeniable charm. Starting as a model before transitioning to acting, she has spent over 30 years gracing both Italian and Hollywood films with her talent and beauty. Bellucci has taken on a wide variety of roles, from the enchanting Milena in Milena to her work in the Matrix franchise, Under Suspicion, Irreversible, Tears of the Sun, The Passion of the Christ, and Spectre. Her ability to embody complex characters has solidified her as one of the most alluring and talented actresses of her generation. Films like Milena and Irreversible showcase not only her willingness to embrace vulnerability, but also her dedication to telling deeply emotional stories. These roles include brief but impactful nude scenes, which Bellucci approaches with grace and authenticity, making them integral to the characters' journeys. Known for her timeless beauty and magnetic screen presence, Monica Bellucci remains an icon who continues to captivate audiences around the world. 23. Alicia Vikander, Ex Machina. Alicia Vikander's journey in Hollywood is nothing short of a rising from the ashes story. In just a decade, she has built an impressive career, appearing in more than 35 film and television titles, with nearly every project earning both commercial and critical success. Vikander's early years saw her in historical dramas like A Royal Affair, Anna Karenina, and Testament of Youth, where she showcased her depth and versatility. However, it was her groundbreaking role as Ava in Ex Machina that truly put her on the map. While the film features some frontal nudity, it's far from explicit, as Ava is a robot with human-like skin, making the nudity more conceptual than sexual. Following the immense success of Ex Machina, Vikander's career soared. She seamlessly transitioned into various genres, from comedy and action to drama, romance, and fantasy, proving her ability to tackle any role with nuance and skill. Whether playing a fierce action hero or a heart-wrenching character in a drama, Vikander has become one of the most sought-after actresses of her generation. 22. Tilda Swinton, Female Perversions.
The only thing that matters is what they feel and how much they feel.
Imagine stepping onto a film set, pouring your heart into a role, all while knowing it could be your last. Some of Hollywood's most beloved actors did just that, delivering unforgettable performances even as they faced the toughest fight of their lives. Today, we're diving into the powerful stories of actors who left it all on the screen, giving us one last piece of their magic. If these stories move you as much as they moved us, please hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon to keep up with more inspiring tales like these. Let's celebrate the legacies they left behind together. Jason Robards. When Paul Thomas Anderson began writing Magnolia, he drew from a deeply personal place, his father's battle with cancer. This painful experience shaped the character of Earl Partridge, a wealthy, terminally ill man confronting regrets and strained relationships. Anderson imagined veteran actor Jason Robards in the role, feeling Robards could bring the needed depth and gravity to such a complex character. Robards, with his history of bringing raw emotion to his roles, described playing Earl as prophetic. He said it felt just so right for him, with a meaning that went beyond acting, as Robards himself was quietly battling lung cancer during the shoot. His portrayal is both moving and haunting, capturing the raw, end-of-life vulnerability of a man facing his own mortality. Robards channeled his personal journey into Earl's struggle with pain, regret, and fear of death, creating one of his most powerful performances. Sadly, Robards' real-life battle with cancer would parallel Partridge's. He passed away from the disease just a year after Magnolia premiered. His final role became a powerful and bittersweet farewell, leaving a lasting impact on cinema and those who witnessed his work. Chadwick Boseman. The world was stunned when Chadwick Boseman's death was announced in August 2020. He had faced colon cancer with quiet courage, a battle known only to his family and a few close friends. Diagnosed in 2016, the same year he first appeared as T'Challa in Captain America: Civil War, Boseman continued to work tirelessly, undergoing treatments while embodying a resilience most of us could hardly imagine. Even as he faced the weight of his illness, his performances remained as powerful as ever. Playing T'Challa, the Black Panther, Boseman inspired millions, creating a legacy that went far beyond the Marvel Cinematic Universe. His strength and pride became a symbol for so many. And beyond Marvel, in films like Da 5 Bloods and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, he showed the depth and dedication he brought to his craft, delivering unforgettable performances even in his final days. John Cazale. Even if the name John Cazale doesn't ring a bell, his unforgettable roles in the Godfather films and other classics likely do. Incredibly, Cazale's career spanned just 5 feature films, yet every one of them was nominated for Best Picture. a remarkable feat that speaks volumes about his talent. By the time he began filming The Deer Hunter, Cazale was in the final stages of lung cancer. His condition was so serious that director Michael Cimino arranged for all of his scenes to be filmed first, just to make sure he could finish his part. Robert De Niro, his close friend and co-star, even covered the insurance costs to keep Cazale in the film despite his terminal illness. In The Deer Hunter, Cazale gives a deeply moving final performance that adds a haunting poignancy to the film. Sadly, he didn't live to see its release. Cazale passed away on March 13, 1978, at just 42 years old with his fiancée Meryl Streep by his side. Streep, who starred alongside him as Linda in The Deer Hunter, took the role to stay close to him during his last days. When the film opened in December 1978, it solidified Cazale's place as one of the most gifted actors of his generation, Spencer Tracy. At the 1967 Academy Awards, Katharine Hepburn won the Best Actress Award for her role in the groundbreaking interracial romantic comedy Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. But despite the film's success, Hepburn never actually watched the finished movie. Filming had been a profoundly emotional experience for her, mostly due to the declining health of her longtime partner and co-star, Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy knew Guess Who's Coming to Dinner might very well be his last film, and he wasn't even sure he'd make it to the end of shooting. By this time, Tracy's health had sharply declined. He was battling heart disease and diabetes, so much so that the film's insurance company refused to cover him. But Katharine Hepburn and director Stanley Kramer stepped in to reassure the studio, even offering to give up their own salaries if it would help. As a backup, the script was even reworked to exclude Tracy's character if he couldn't finish the project. The shoot was exhausting for Tracy. Hepburn came to the set with him every day, and he could only work a few hours in the morning from 9 a.m. to noon. For scenes where he wasn't needed on camera, a stand-in would step in so he could save his energy. Tracy's co-star, Sidney Poitier, recalled how on some days, Tracy just couldn't make it to work, while on others, he delivered performances that were nothing short of brilliant. Tracy passed away only 15 days after filming wrapped, leaving behind a powerful legacy that his colleagues and fans would never forget. Carolyn Jones. Carolyn Jones's big break in Hollywood came after she was discovered at the Pasadena Playhouse and signed a contract with Paramount Studios. Like many newcomers, she started with smaller roles, but things looked promising when she was cast as Alma Lorene Burke in From Here to Eternity. Unfortunately, just before filming began, she came down with pneumonia and had to drop out. Donna Reed took over the role and went on to win an Oscar for it. Jones didn't let that setback stop her, though. She kept building her career with memorable film roles, and in 1957, her work in Bachelor Party earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. As her film career grew, she also became a familiar face on television, appearing in popular series like Dragnet, Wagon Train, and Burke's Law. In 1964, Jones landed the role that would make her a pop culture icon, Morticia Addams in The Addams Family. Alongside John Astin's Gomez, she brought Morticia to life, and the show's success cemented her place in TV history. After the show's 2-season run, she continued with guest roles on TV until she took on a major part as Myrna Clegg on the soap opera Capital. Just before Capital aired, Jones was diagnosed with colon cancer. Despite her health challenges, she kept working, even filming some scenes from a wheelchair. She was so private about her struggle that she told her castmates she was being treated for ulcers. Although her cancer went into remission briefly, it soon returned, and Jones passed away on August 3, 1983. Her legacy endures, cherished by fans and those who worked with her. Vincent Price. Some of the most memorable moments in Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands are those tender scenes where Edward learns from his gentle inventor in their secluded mansion. The inventor, played by horror legend Vincent Price, was a personal hero of Burton's. The two had built a close friendship years earlier while working together on Burton's short film, Vincent, a tribute to Price's iconic career. By the time they reunited for Edward Scissorhands, Price's health was declining. He was facing both a progressive lung disease and Parkinson's, making the shoot especially challenging. To make things easier for him, his scenes were shortened, but his presence left a deep impact on the film. Edward Scissorhands would become Price's final cinematic appearance, as he passed away from lung cancer in 1993, bringing a touching close to a legendary career. Raúl Julia. Raúl Julia was a celebrated bilingual actor known for his powerful work on stage and screen. Many might be surprised to learn that his final film was an action movie based on the Street Fighter video games, a film that critics largely dismissed. But his choice had a deeply personal reason. Raúl knew exactly what he was doing. After a tough 3-year battle with stomach cancer, he was fully aware his time was limited. Wanting to give his 3 children something they could hold on to, he poured his heart into his last big performance, going all out with a flair and energy that turned the role into a personal masterpiece. For his unforgettable portrayal, he was awarded a Saturn Award, a bright spot in what was otherwise considered a poorly received film. Before his passing at just 54 in late 1994, Raúl took on one final role in a TV series, leaving behind one last piece of his talent for his family and fans to remember. Rob Garrison. In the original The Karate Kid, 1984, Rob Garrison played Tommy, one of the Cobra Kai gang members who relentlessly bullied Daniel LaRusso. Decades later, he made a brief but memorable return in the Cobra Kai series. His appearance was striking. He looked unwell, a reflection of the real health battle he was facing. In those scenes, you can feel the shared understanding between Garrison and his longtime castmates about the seriousness of his condition. In a heartfelt parallel, his character in Cobra Kai was also portrayed as gravely ill, making the role especially touching. This appearance would be his last. In September 2019, Rob Garrison passed away in the hospital at the age of 59 due to organ failure, leaving behind a legacy cherished by fans of The Karate Kid and beyond. Pedro Armendariz. During the filming of From Russia with Love in 1963, Pedro Armendariz was fighting terminal neck cancer. He took on the role of Ali Karim Bey, Bond's ally and head of Station T in Istanbul, despite the severe pain he was enduring. Armendariz was determined to finish the film, hoping it would provide financial stability for his family. Some scenes required a body double since his illness made it too hard for him to walk. Sadly, 4 months before the film's release, he chose to end his life, a decision that reflected the depth of his suffering. Years later, his son, Pedro Armendariz Jr., honored his father's legacy by joining the Bond franchise himself, appearing in License to Kill in 1989. John Wayne. By the time John Wayne filmed The Shootist, he was already battling cancer, though he had not yet received a terminal diagnosis. Despite his declining health, he was determined to take on the role. Initially, Hollywood legends like Paul Newman, George C. Scott, Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, and Charles Bronson were considered for the part, but when each declined, it eventually went to Wayne. In this 1976 film, Wayne played J.B. Brooks, an aging gunfighter who learns he has terminal cancer and must decide between letting the illness claim him or choosing a more honorable end in one final showdown. To go out on his own terms, Brooks invites 3 gunmen to face him, ultimately killing them all, only to be fatally shot by the bartender, in a twist that adds a somber note to the story. Wayne's performance felt intensely real, as he was grappling with his own mortality while portraying a character in a similar struggle. He believed The Shootist would be a powerful film, and he was right. It is now seen as a classic and one of his most memorable performances, standing as a fitting tribute to his legacy in the Western genre. Andrew Whitfield. Andrew Whitfield brought the iconic role of Spartacus to life in Spartacus, Blood and Sand. In 2010, his life took an unexpected turn when he was diagnosed with stage IIIB non-Hodgkin lymphoma. The diagnosis led to a difficult journey, and production on the second season of Spartacus was delayed to give Whitfield time to focus on his fight against the illness. There was a brief moment of hope when doctors reported that his cancer had gone into remission. Sadly, just 18 months after his diagnosis, Whitfield passed away, having been in remission for only a short while. As production moved forward, the role of Spartacus was recast, with Liam McIntyre stepping into the character. Despite the change, Whitfield fully supported McIntyre's portrayal, and McIntyre later shared that he would not have taken on the role without Whitfield's blessing. Andrew Whitfield's legacy as a brilliant actor lives on, and his powerful portrayal of Spartacus remains an unforgettable part of television history. Edward G. Robinson. Edward G. Robinson, best known for his tough guy roles in 1930s gangster classics like Little Caesar, gave a deeply moving final performance in the dystopian classic Soylent Green. In this film, he played the aging, world-weary best friend of Charlton Heston's character. Set in an overpopulated, bleak future where food is scarce, Robinson's character makes the heartbreaking decision to be euthanized. Heston's character arrives too late to stop him, and they share a final, tender conversation as Robinson's character slips away. What makes this scene even more powerful is that Robinson himself was facing terminal bladder cancer while filming. His on-screen goodbye was filled with genuine emotion, and Heston's tears in the scene were widely believed to be real, an honest reaction to his friend's final farewell. For years, audiences didn't know the depth behind this moment, but knowing the truth gives it lasting significance. Just 12 days after completing this scene, Robinson passed away peacefully. Though he never won a competitive Oscar during his life, he was awarded a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award, an honor he knew about but didn't live to accept. His role in Soylent Green is remembered as a beautiful and poignant testament to his talent and legacy. Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman's portrayal of Severus Snape in the Harry Potter series became one of his most iconic roles, though he almost walked away from it midway through the series. In 2005, Rickman was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and with filming for Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix approaching, he considered stepping back to focus on his recovery. In the end, though, he chose to see Snape's journey to its conclusion, committing to the role for nearly a decade and delivering unforgettable performances. A decade later, in 2015, Rickman received a diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, a struggle he kept private, sharing the news only with a few close friends. Despite his declining health, he continued working, lending his voice to Alice Through the Looking Glass, released after his passing and dedicated in his memory. Around the same time, he completed Eye in the Sky, a powerful political thriller that became his last live-action performance. These final films stand as a poignant tribute, cementing Rickman's legacy and leaving a lasting impact on fans around the world. Pete Postlethwaite. Smoking had been a part of Pete Postlethwaite's life since he was just a child, and his long struggle with the addiction eventually contributed to his death in 2011. A year and a half before he passed, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Despite the diagnosis, Postlethwaite continued to work, delivering powerful performances right up until the end of his life. Some of his final roles included appearances in Ben Affleck's The Town, which earned him a posthumous BAFTA nomination, and Christopher Nolan's Inception. While The Town garnered its share of praise, it's Inception that has endured as the more widely recognized of the two. What makes his role in Inception especially poignant is the way it eerily mirrored his real-life battle. Postlethwaite played the ailing father of Cillian Murphy's character, and his decline over the course of the film reflects the physical toll that cancer had taken on him. The vulnerability in his performance, marked by his weakened appearance, adds a haunting depth to the role, making it a final, unforgettable tribute to his talent. Irfan Khan. He was born in Tonk, Rajasthan on January 7th, and his love for acting led him to receive a scholarship at the prestigious National School of Drama. He started his career with television shows like Chanakya and Chandrakanta. His effortless acting and incredible ability to truly embody the characters he played quickly gained him recognition. His first Bollywood film was Salaam Bombay, but unfortunately, his role was cut from the final version. Despite that setback, he didn't give up and continued to pursue more film roles, though his early projects didn't perform well at the box office. Even before becoming a household name in India, his work was being celebrated on the international stage, particularly with his role in Warrior, directed by Asif Kapadia, which turned him into an international star. He went on to appear in several critically acclaimed films, yet it wasn't until Raj that he truly made a lasting impact on the Indian audience. After that, he became widely praised, both in India and abroad. He starred in numerous successful Hindi films and also featured in Hollywood hits like Jurassic World and Life of Pi. His final film was Angrezi Medium, which he shot in 2019. By then, he was battling a neuroendocrine tumor. Diagnosed in 2018, he relocated to the UK for treatment, which is why more than 70% of Angrezi Medium was filmed there. He was one of India's finest actors, continuing to work despite inching closer to his death. Sadly, we lost him on April 28, 2020. Massimo Troisi. Italian actor Massimo Troisi's dedication to his craft was truly remarkable. While filming Il Postino in 1994, he collapsed on set. Doctors discovered that his heart was in such poor condition that he urgently needed a transplant. Despite this, Troisi insisted on finishing the film, putting off the surgery until production was complete. Tragically, just 12 hours after the final scene was filmed, Troisi passed away from a heart attack. Il Postino went on to receive widespread acclaim, earning 5 Oscar nominations in 1995, including Best Picture. Troisi's heartfelt performance earned him a posthumous nomination for Best Actor, solidifying his place as a beloved actor. His decision to continue working despite his failing health left a deep impact on his colleagues and fans alike, making his final performance all the more poignant. His legacy lives on in his work, reminding us of the incredible dedication and passion he had for his craft. Brandon Lee. Tragically, Brandon Lee's life was cut short during the filming of The Crow in 1993, following a devastating accident on set. The incident occurred when a stunt gun, which hadn't been properly cleaned between shots, fired a dummy bullet, essentially a bullet without gunpowder, that became lodged in the barrel. Later, when Michael Massey's character Fun Boy fired a blank in a scene, the dummy bullet was discharged and struck Lee. As planned, Lee walked through the door, activated his squib, a blood pack used to simulate a gunshot wound, and fell to the ground, clutching his stomach. However, something was immediately wrong. The squib was meant to show only a small amount of blood, but Lee was bleeding much more than expected. It wasn't until the director called cut that anyone realized something was seriously wrong. Lee remained motionless. He was rushed to the hospital and underwent emergency surgery, but despite the efforts, Brandon Lee passed away from his injuries. His death was a tragic loss to the film industry, and it left an immense void for his family, friends, and fans around the world. His passing continues to be a heartbreaking reminder of the risks that can sometimes be present in filmmaking. Elizabeth Montgomery. Elizabeth Montgomery's final role was voicing a bartender in an episode of Batman, the animated series in 1996. She had completed this role shortly before receiving the devastating news of her diagnosis with aggressive colon cancer. Tragically, her battle with the illness took her life soon after. Best known for her iconic portrayal of Samantha Stevens on the beloved TV series Bewitched, Montgomery had been a cherished figure in Hollywood for decades. Despite her declining health, she remained committed to her craft and worked on her final project with the same dedication and professionalism that had defined her career. Sadly, Montgomery passed away on May 18, 1995 at the age of 62 before the episode could air. It was released posthumously, and her voice work in Batman, the animated series, became a touching final gift to her loyal fans. Her passing marked the end of an era for both her career and for her admirers. However, her legacy as one of television's most beloved stars continues to live on. Julian Beck. He was battling stomach cancer while filming Poltergeist 2, fully aware that his time was limited, either during the production or shortly after. But despite his condition, he gave a memorable and standout performance, one that has since become one of the most iconic in the film. His portrayal in Poltergeist 2 remains one of his most unforgettable contributions to cinema. Tragically, he passed away from the disease shortly after completing the movie. His dedication to his craft during such a challenging time speaks volumes about his immense talent and his unwavering commitment to his work. His performance is truly a testament to his legacy. Which of these final performances made the biggest impact on you? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.
Hollywood isn't just about glamour and fame. Behind the scenes, some stars have committed horrifying acts that shocked the world. Today we're exposing the dark side of fame with the 20 most evil stars in Hollywood history. Get ready to uncover the sinister secrets behind some of the biggest names in entertainment. 1. O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson's name will forever be linked to one of the most infamous trials in history. The former NFL star and actor was accused of the brutal 1994 murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. The trial captivated the world, and though he was acquitted of the charges in 1995, many still believe Simpson was guilty. The civil trial that followed found him liable for their deaths. His fall from grace is one of the darkest chapters in both sports and Hollywood history. O.J. Simpson's involvement in the entertainment industry added an extra layer of shock to his case. His career, including roles in the Naked Gun series and numerous television appearances, made him a household name before the trial. Despite the not guilty verdict, his image was tarnished forever, leaving a lasting stain on Hollywood's reputation. 2. Kevin Spacey. Once a celebrated actor and two-time Academy Award winner, Kevin Spacey's career came crashing down in 2017 when multiple allegations of sexual misconduct were brought against him. Spacey, best known for his roles in American Beauty and House of Cards, was accused by several men of inappropriate behavior, some dating back decades. As more allegations emerged, Spacey's Hollywood career quickly dissolved, leaving behind a legacy now marred by scandal and accusations. Spacey's downfall was part of the larger Dodger Me Too movement that swept through Hollywood. His behavior, once hidden behind his respected career, became a symbol of the abuse of power in the industry. Though he denied many of the accusations, Spacey's reputation never recovered, and his career remains in freefall. 3. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen, once the highest paid actor on television for his role in 2.5 Men, spiraled into controversy with drug abuse, violent behavior, and shocking personal confessions. Sheen's public meltdown, in which he infamously claimed to have tiger blood and be winning, shocked fans and the industry. However, it was the revelations of his erratic and often abusive behavior behind the scenes, including domestic violence allegations, that cemented his reputation as one of Hollywood's most troubled stars. Charlie Sheen's career was marked by both incredible success and profound downfall. His self-destructive behavior played out in front of the media, turning him into a public spectacle. Beyond the wild antics, serious accusations of violence and misconduct created a darker image, one far removed from his days as a beloved sitcom star. 4. Roman Polanski. Renowned director Roman Polanski is as known for his brilliant filmmaking as he is for the scandal that has followed him for decades. In 1977, Polanski was charged with the statutory rape of a 13-year-old girl. He fled the United States before sentencing and has lived as a fugitive from U.S. justice ever since. Despite the horrific nature of his crime, Polanski has continued to work in the film industry, creating a lasting debate about the separation of art and artist. Polanski's ability to maintain a career despite such a serious crime raises difficult questions about the industry's priorities. His supporters argue for his artistic genius, while others condemn his evasion of justice. His story reflects Hollywood's long history of protecting its most powerful figures even in the face of horrific wrongdoing. 5. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, the once powerful film producer behind hits like Pulp Fiction and Shakespeare in Love, was at the center of one of Hollywood's biggest scandals. In 2017, dozens of women came forward accusing Weinstein of sexual harassment, assault, and rape. The revelation sparked the Me Too movement, forever changing Hollywood and exposing the systemic abuse of power by those at the top. Weinstein was eventually convicted and sentenced to 23 years in prison, marking a significant turning point in the industry. Weinstein's actions were an open secret in Hollywood for years, but it took the bravery of countless women to bring the truth to light. His fall from grace not only destroyed his career, but also exposed the toxic culture that allowed him to thrive unchecked for decades. His story became a symbol of the change that Hollywood so desperately needed. 6. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney was one of Hollywood's most iconic stars, a leading figure during the golden age of cinema. Known for his energetic performances and boyish charm, he captured the hearts of audiences in films like Andy Hardy and National Velvet. His talent and charisma made him one of the most bankable actors of his time, especially during the 1930s and 1940s. To the public, Rooney represented the epitome of youthful innocence and wholesome American values. However, behind this glittering facade lay a more complex and troubling personal life that remained largely hidden from the spotlight. Rooney's private world was marred by a series of failed marriages. He was married 8 times, and accusations of abusive behavior. Over the years, several of his wives alleged that Rooney had a history of domestic violence and emotional abuse. These claims painted a stark contrast to the image of the carefree, lovable boy next door that he portrayed on screen. One of his ex-wives, Barbara Thomason, publicly spoke about Rooney's volatile temper, while other partners described him as controlling and manipulative. His frequent marital troubles were widely known, and despite his public persona of humor and affability, Rooney's personal relationships were often turbulent. These allegations have led some to question how much of his fame was built on a carefully crafted public image that masked a much darker reality behind closed doors. Although Mickey Rooney's legacy as a talented entertainer remains significant, these troubling aspects of his personal life have cast a long shadow over his reputation. The allegations of cruelty combined with his tumultuous marriages create a far more complicated and layered portrait of the star than the one most people remember from the screen. 7. R. Kelly. Though primarily known as a music icon, R. Kelly's connections to Hollywood and his entertainment empire made his long overdue downfall one of the most shocking scandals in recent years. After decades of accusations of sexual abuse and exploitation of young women and girls, Kelly was finally convicted in 2021 of racketeering and sex trafficking. His decades-long abuse was shielded by his fame and power, making his crimes all the more horrifying. R. Kelly's case illustrates the dark side of celebrity, where powerful figures can evade justice for years. His crimes, which affected so many vulnerable people, were covered up by his inner circle and ignored by the entertainment industry for far too long. His conviction was a major step in holding predators in the industry accountable. 8. Fatty Arbuckle. One of Hollywood's earliest scandals involves silent film star Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, whose career was destroyed by accusations of raping and accidentally killing actress Virginia Rapp in 1921. Although Arbuckle was eventually acquitted after multiple trials, the damage was done. Hollywood and the media vilified him, and his career never recovered, making him one of the first stars to fall from grace in the industry's history. Arbuckle's trial marked the beginning of Hollywood's complicated relationship with scandal and cover-ups. Though he was found innocent, the media frenzy and public condemnation were too overwhelming for his career to survive. His story remains one of the earliest examples of how Hollywood scandals can destroy even the brightest of stars. 9. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, once considered America's dad for his role on The Cosby Show, was revealed to be a serial predator in one of the most shocking revelations in television history. Dozens of women came forward accusing Cosby of drugging and assaulting them over the course of decades. In 2018, Cosby was convicted of sexual assault and sentenced to prison, shattering his once pristine image and exposing the dark truth about a beloved figure. Cosby's fall was one of the most devastating in Hollywood's history, as it revealed the extent to which powerful men could exploit their positions of trust and authority. His conviction represented a major victory for the women who had fought for years to hold him accountable, and it became a symbol of the changing tides in Hollywood. 10. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson's fall from grace was as dramatic as his rise to stardom. Known for iconic roles in films like Braveheart and Lethal Weapon, Gibson's reputation took a nosedive after a series of highly publicized incidents. In 2006, Gibson was arrested